Close your eyes. You've been running for some time. You don't know how long. You're barefooted. You've been running on cobblestones, and the tissue of your feet feels like hamburger. It just hurts. And the night is cold and misty. The kind of cold that gets into your bones. Just like sits in them. You just can't get warm, and you're running and you're sweating. And you're in shock. How long have you been out here? It's so dark. Ahead of you, you see a building. It's a big industrial factory. There are lights on inside. It's not brightly lit, but you can tell that there are lights on inside. And there's a lumbering, drooling, slithering sound far behind you. Where do you go?
I run for the hills.
Did I describe any hills?
I wasn't listening. How many hills are there?
There are 2 hills, but they're nowhere near the sound and the factory.
All right, so there's a factory. There's something behind me.
You're barefooted and you're cold.
I'm barefooted.
And on cobblestones.
Is it barefeeted or barefooted?
Barefooted. And you're running on cobblestones.
Okay, so cobblestones. There's civilization nearby. So the factory, there has to be houses of some kind because the workers, who work at the factory need to be somewhat close. I assume there isn't, fast travel in this world. That they could just fast travel to a point on their map. So they have to be somewhat close. Okay. So I guess I run over to one of their houses.
Okay, so you're saying like a third option to run left or right away from into the darkness where you can't see. Okay, which way?
Towards the houses, towards the light.
Well, no, the light was the factory, the mysterious, spooky factory, and behind you is the gross sound that you probably have been running from. Mm-hmm. Left or right into the darkness.
And then which way is the factory?
Immediately ahead of you.
Oh. I guess I go left.
Okay, you turn left. You're running along, still barefooted, along the cobblestones, but eventually you notice that you're running on wood planks.
Ooh.
And the creak.
I'm by the docks.
Ominously.
Am I by the docks?
And you can smell the salt air.
Of the ocean?
Of the ocean.
Or the Dead Sea?
It's the ocean.
Oh.
Okay. And you're at the docks, and eventually you've come to the end of the docks. You have the ocean ahead of you. There's no moon. So you can just hear the ocean out in front of you. So you don't even know exactly how far the water comes up to where you are. The sound, the menacing, drooling, crawling sound has followed you.
Okay, so I reach into my back pocket and I pull out my solar map, which is my map of the solar system. And I look up at the sky and I wink. And after I wink, a small alien spaceship drops down in front of me, and I attempt to jump onto the spaceship.
Okay.
Roll. Should I do an agility check? Okay. The alien gets out and just fucking shakes his head, gets immediately back in and takes off, leaving you stuck between the ocean and the slithering sound. Okay, so I pull out a gun.
And let that be a lesson to all of us.
That you should always bring a gun when you're running away from a slithery sound monster, and never trust alien friends.
Yeah, they just bail. I think we've all been there.
Mm-hmm. And welcome to the Carriage Way podcast.
Thank you for joining us here at the bottom of the lake.
And I am co-host Jacob.
And I am co-host Joe.
And let's just dive right into it.
Okay.
So we'd like to start these monthly podcasts with a channel update. Just kind of talking about what we have done with the channel in the past month, what's happened, where we kind of expect to go in the next month. And this is, of course, this segment is exclusive to our super patrons who
subscribe at the $1,000 level.
Yeah, so, but this is sort of like just a honor rule where we expect that anybody who isn't giving us at least $5,000 a week, step out right now, earmuffs. This is just for our patrons.
Actually, I've already set it up that it retroactively charges their credit card, even if you didn't even put in a credit card.
That was smart. I know that took a lot of work, and you had to make some calls to your Patreon
Holy
friends.
shit! Look at all that money rolling in.
Whoa!
Yeah,
let's order a pizza with gold leaves. Leaves.
Yes. Okay. All right. Anyway, so so past month, huh? We're doing a lot of Suikoden 2, but that's wrapping up.
Nearing its natural end, everybody. We started Suikoden 2 last summer, and we've surpassed episode 100. We've recorded a couple weeks ahead of where that is uploaded, like the time this goes up. But we're very close to the end.
Okay.
I shall say that. I expect we will be done in a few episodes.
And we have a big game lined up.
It's gonna be huge, everybody. It's gonna be the best game.
It's the biggest. It's so good.
Yeah, we do, and including a new intro that is not made yet, but will be made soon.
Yeah, the assets are made.
So we're looking forward to beating Suikoden 2 finally and getting into some new stuff. And we're excited for y'all to join us on our next journey.
We also started and finished Way of the Samurai.
That we just finished Way of the Samurai this past Thursday. And that won't necessarily be the end of Carriage Way of the Samurai, everybody. This is Way of the Samurai, at least that first playthrough is done of the first game. But this is sort of Carriage Way of the Samurai. It's just our general playing ninja samurai games.
Anything from that takes place in feudal Japan. So, we're going to slide in a Tenchu, probably maybe eventually.
Maybe when Sekiro comes out.
Sekiro. Unofficial Tenchu.
So we're... that's still continuing, and I was really happy with how the intro turned out. I was happy with how the Carriage Way intro turned out. And I mean, so we've done actually quite a bit in the past month, which has led to a small bump in subscribers. Welcome new subscribers. So now we're up to 27. The big old 27.
Actually, I think it was 28 when I checked earlier.
28?
28.
28. I was happy that it was 27 because of the 27 true runes of Suikoden.
Oh, okay. Somebody has to unsubscribe.
Please. Well, Joe, most of the subscribers are just Gmails that Joe and I made. In fact, like 26 of them, I think, are. So we'll just unsubscribe with one of those, so you don't need to worry about it.
How isolating would that make somebody feel if they're listening to this? And oh no.
I thought I was one of 28. Now I'm realizing I'm just one of 2.
Or no, and if you discount us, then you'd just be all alone.
Yeah.
You're just all alone.
You're the only one listening. So we're thankful for that, and we're happy to see some growth. And we're happy with the things that the channel is doing.
Next month, do we have anything special planned or no?
Like we mentioned, Sekiro. We might play some Sekiro for the channel. Probably our next series replacing Suikoden 2 will start next month. And and I mean, I think like we could just say too, like we're talking about, because Tamriel Tuesdays is one of our lower viewed shows. Maybe at some point, we'll mix up our recording schedule, like our upload schedule, have like a different deal of like rolling things out, and maybe something else would kind of fill in like a Tuesday slot.
Yeah, it's fluid at this point.
We want to be adaptable.
Yeah.
Are you ready to move on to our next topic of discussion?
Yes.
So, what have you been making creatively, Joe, the past month?
Still just working on my art, like I always have. Finished a picture not that long ago, but nothing to write home about. Just practicing my craft. Ordered some new art supplies earlier.
Like what?
These like really neat posable figure things that help you sort of figure out like anatomy, how the like posed in complex scenes, and like just quick.
Oh, is it like one of those like kind of big plastic blow up dolls that has like the kind of whole mouth?
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen those before.
Yeah. No. 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 It's just something to try out. Quick iteration, especially for like things like comic book panels or just like quick scenes. I'm a slow artist generally, but I'd like to try to speed up, especially as we try to move into when I have to create a lot of assets for the channel, and inevitably hopefully for the video game at some point.
Which we sort of started this, well, not started the channel, but started like the Playing Through Suikoden 2 for inspiration on game design and things. So, I mean, it's just always something at the back of our minds. And I think we say that every month or every podcast, but it really is. I mean, something that I was thinking about actually regarding the story of the video game is, all right, so basically for listener purposes, what we have done is a concept and characters.
Yeah. And we have a like pretty thorough outline of one location in the game. But that was from it was a carried over from another project.
Yeah.
From some time ago.
So that's sort of all we have. So like, don't expect that it's like we're game designers or anything. But like one of the things that I was thinking about was like just always just trying to interject more humor into stuff, like just make it, because I think there's like a tendency when you're writing a story just to try to always make it like really edgy, like just to like, oh, no, this is to be taken seriously, and like not that it shouldn't be, and not that humor makes something not taken seriously, but I just like good natured, just kind of fun, like situational humor where it's like, this is just like, so I think about Suikoden 2 and like Victor, and like Victor's a funny character, which makes
the darker parts of his personality or like of his narrative that much darker, because this is somebody who's very uplifting and lighthearted, and I think that contrast is important. I mean, this is a little bit of a rant, but like, I'm a fan of those Harry Potter books because they have like a nice contrast of like really light, or like it's light and airy, but when it goes dark, it feels extra dark because there's that contrast. Whereas those movies I think are trash because starting with the third one, it was just all grim dark all the time. And it was just kind of one note. And it was my pet peeve with those movies. And I think they're kind of unwatchable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure we didn't lose a subscriber just then.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to,
get it down to the 27 true runes.
Yeah. Yeah. So what have you been up to creatively? Any progress you want to talk about on poetry or the new novel?
Well, to my private Instagram, which is the only Instagram I have, I've been just trying to think of like practicing making different. So like I'm not currently writing poems, but years ago I wrote like a poem every day for the month of October. And then like I wrote a poem every day for the month of August. of a year. And so like I have a bunch of built up poems. So I was trying to use my Photoshop skills to kind of just make like those Instagram poem-y things. But just like with a little bit of my own thing. So I was just playing around in Photoshop and just trying a couple different layouts and different deals. And so that's something I've been working on. And at some point, I would like to create like a Instagram that just is for that just has kind of those poems, almost as like a way of marketing in a way of like a poem collection or something. But, nothing really happened with that. With my story that I'm writing, I'm still writing every day on it, at least a sentence every night. And it's been about a sentence every night the past month. I've just been very, I'm a full-time student at the University of Montana, taken 19 credits, not to brag. And then, so, and like, not that I have a ton of homework, but, a lot of times I'm just like kind of burnt out or spent or bored or, kind of demoralized. So I don't write a lot.
I mean, and you do the lion's share of the work for the channel. So, that's kind of your second job, or that's your job. Yeah. In a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, it is about a part-time job worth of work. Because, every night, get home from school, edit the deal, upload it, and then, I mean, like, that usually takes, like an hour, I guess, every night. And then, making the thumbnails and then recording on the weekends always takes some time. And
yeah. And I'm kind of abrasive, hard to hang out with.
It's hard I get very frustrated with those guys on the Carriage Plays. This is actually, yeah, I mean,
I'm actually Dave, and this is Thomas.
Yeah.
It's like, we hate Joe and Jacob. Those guys are the fucking worst.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we started a channel with them, honestly. I mean, I kind of want to fire them.
Yeah, why are you guys even, like, watching those Let's Plays?
So, yeah, I mean, been writing every night still, and...
Cool. Do you know your word count for your second novel?
It is... No, I guess I don't know. I'm thinking it's like 15,000 words, maybe at this point.
Yeah.
Which is probably about where it was last month, honestly, even though I've been working on it every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's slow going,
Yeah.
I mean, we can't all be fucking Stephen King, who puts out a giant fucking novel a month or whatever.
True. And his weird face.
Yeah, his giant, like that space between the bottom of his nose and the top of his lip.
Yeah, he's got to be able to grow like an awesome mustache.
Yeah, like Tom Selleck.
Wishes.
It's like eat your heart out, Tom Selleck. As if Stephen King decided to grow a mustache.
It could, like, Stephen King's space between his nose and his lip could fit like 3 Tom Selleck's heads. Not just Tom Selleck's mustache, his head.
I was going to go on about how he sort of looked like the Grinch from the Dr. Seuss. Or just like a Dr. Seuss character in general.
Yeah. The Lorax.
Yeah, we love you, Stephen King. Don't unsubscribe. Okay, what's up next?
What have you been playing, watching, reading, listening?
Shoot. Oh, Krista and I had been started our own game on Resident Evil 2, and made it pretty far, but we haven't gone back. We haven't been back to it in weeks. Mm-hmm. I mean, this isn't exactly a spoiler, but we got to the Tyrant, and we just had done it on a Sunday morning. Krista's a big fan of horror movies, but she doesn't know a whole lot about video games. So we were playing it together, and by the end of the session, we'd made it to the Tyrant, and both of our nerves were like shot. Mm-hmm. And it was a good time. I just need to get back to it. And after I'd finished Divinity Original Sin 2 last month, I'd started another one of my Christmas backlog games, Elix, which is another super low budget Eastern European Western role playing game. Man, that's very rough around the edges, but it's got a lot of heart, and I like playing it. I just it's hard finding the time because it's very time intensive and it is very dumb. It's very dumb. Not Kingdom Hearts dumb, but very dumb. Mm-hmm. I do like it a lot though. It reminds me a lot of Deadly Premonition, which is a game I also really like. Except that was smarter, I think. I think Deadly Premonition is a smarter game. Mm. But yeah, I just need to get back to Elix, and I've still got like a whole horde of other games to play, but I haven't got around to it. What have you been playing?
Not a dang darn thing, really. I've other than Joe and I have been playing Kingdom Hearts 3 together.
But that's just like a couple. I mean, an hour or two a week.
Yeah, but I mean,
Pretty
we
much.
put in like 15 hours so far.
Yeah,
16 maybe.
So what do you think of that?
I actually like it a lot more than Joe does, I think. I'm vibing with it pretty well. I think, it's a game that's just purely about friendship and love and heart.
Okay.
And the light.
You set this up so I can rant. Did you set this up so I can rant?
No.
Okay, if you have to say that these characters are friends every single fucking scene, you're not friends. If you say it, if you have to remind the audience, it's like, oh, I'm friends with this person, I'm friends, you're not showing friendship, you're telling, that it's a lie. There's no connection between these characters.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is a lie, everybody. It's a sham.
It's so fucking dumb. And, it's not that I don't respect the creative people involved, because I totally do, and they've made amazing things in the past. It's so fucking dumb. And people rip on fucking Final Fantasy 15. It's like, oh, it doesn't have any story. It doesn't mean anything. It's like, no, you don't understand. They don't, storytellers is like, you don't tell, you show this thing happening. Final Fantasy 15 is about friendship because it shows friendship, not because every single moment they come and turn to the audience and say, oh, we're friends. Donald, Goofy, Sora. It's shut up. You're not there's no connection between these characters. And the Disney stuff is crap. I mean, just because I think even when and it's so frustrating because this seems like money that could have been spent making something really cool, because the production is very high. It's a great production. It's a lot of people spend a lot of time making this game that is ultimately, it's part Disney ad and part dumb shit. It's like, fuck.
So my takeaway, I like it. I actually, I like Kingdom Hearts 1 a lot. I liked it.
I did too.
I replayed it in high school. Mm-hmm. It wasn't as good as I remembered. Not that okay, so this is the thing. It's Kingdom Hearts 1 I don't think is dumb. I think Kingdom Hearts 1 is pretty smart and clever in terms of its stuff with just kind of how it's dream logic, and it isn't gone off the rails.
The first one is kind of literary in its approach to surrealism. Mm-hmm. It's a surrealist tale. You could see Tetsuya Nomura and Kazushige Nojima, they're sitting on a couch getting high or drunk and watching Disney movies, going to sleep and keeping a dream journal. And that was Kingdom Hearts 1. It was this weird, dream logic, swimmy, sort of, you couldn't nail down anything. And, things were going on and, it never meant anything, but that was the dream logic. And it was kind of literary that way.
And I think Kingdom Hearts 1 truly, showed friendship a lot better than Kingdom Hearts 3, where like I actually remember, like even when I replayed it, I did feel kind of like the friendship between Sora and Riku and Kairi, and like this kind of almost like, you know, you could tell Kairi or Sora and Riku both had a crush on Kairi, and you know they're fighting over it.
Yeah, it's like you could sense like this like preteen love triangle sort of thing. Like it's, you have kids and they don't know what they're feeling, and it's like, oh, this older boy is like, oh, he was my best friend, but like I'm suddenly kind of angry at him for some reason. I don't know why. And whenever this girl is around, it's like, oh, okay, everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And it felt natural. But those characters don't, like, for all practical purposes, don't exist in Kingdom Hearts 3, at least, 15 hours in.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen them.
We've seen them, but like,
we've played them even.
They haven't been part of the dynamic.
Yeah. I guess it's just kind of one of those deals where Sora is so
dumb.
I think there's a charm to his dumbness, but yeah, I mean, he's dumb, and like I feel like it's just purposeless. Like I feel like it's built upon so many games of just stupid Kingdom Hearts things that I no longer know why we're doing anything, why we're traveling. I don't know. Like, what is Sora's goal? How is Sora changing? How is any of these other characters around him changing?
How is anything happening? How will this resolve
happening?
any of the conflicts established, especially in that original game? Like, there's no conflict. It is purely, everything is an excuse to go to a new Disney ad. You go from Disney ad to Disney ad.
Yeah, I feel like they don't feel like ads to me, but I think so. I mean, there's just like a lot of inconsistency in the world design too. Tangled World, awesome. Like really good. Okay. Like art direction all throughout was consistent.
The animations were amazing.
Yeah, that world looked awesome.
And we just finished up Frozen World.
We finished up the Frozen World, and it was like all throughout, it was like, what's happening? You're just like randomly sort of, screen goes black, and now you're in like a ice dungeon, and then you're going through the ice dungeon, and then it's like for some reason now you're here, and then for some reason this happens, and then an avalanche, and then you have to keep climbing up, and it's just, and like the art, like the lighting was flat. Like sometimes it looked good, sometimes it didn't. And I mean, partly some of the cutscenes were pre-rendered, but so I'm not just confused by like, why does this cutscene look really good all of a sudden? But anyway, it was really I do enjoy Kingdom Hearts a lot,
and like I'm enjoying playing it with you, but like I'm also enjoying ripping on it.
Yeah.
And like I'm actually like also legitimately annoyed because they could be doing so much better with this money. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, they're like throwing. I mean, but obviously the game's a huge success. They've made a lot of money. I just wanted to be better, And that's like things I legitimately hate. Like I just say, I'm not frustrated by its existence. It's like, whatever. Like I can't even engage with it. Mm-hmm. But like, I like this enough that I'm pissed off it's not better. Mm-hmm. It's right in that, like, it's sticking in my craw.
Well, don't let it stick in your craw. And as far as other things I've been playing, not much. Played maybe a little bit of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but I kind of have put it down. I just haven't really... it's not that I don't have time for games. I just don't have energy for games, I guess. Sometimes, it just takes a certain amount of energy to play a game.
Yeah, I understand that.
But as far as this other things that's been going on, watching, Joe and I and her dad watched Beautiful Urusei Yatsura, Beautiful Dreamer.
On Blu-ray,
which is one of Joe's favorite movies.
Yep. Mamoru Oshii's first movie he directed. Theatrical Mamoru Oshii, who directed the anime Ghost in the Shell. Mm-hmm. Which was what he was famous for. But he got to start with
Urusei Yatsura. Yeah, and I mean, I'd seen the movie before too, but it was good to watch it again.
Yeah, it's like felt nostalgic. It's a movie I've loved for a very long time.
And Joe, did you read books? I don't read, so do you have anything that you want
So
to talk about with
the
reading?
writer doesn't read books.
I don't read.
Yeah, I gave up on Tristram Shandy. I got
Good for
I
you.
got a third of the way through, and I was like, I can't. I just without making it homework, I couldn't. I know some people can. I just had to. Like, I'm just not.
Well, those people are just better than you, Joe.
No, that they absolutely are. I just can't do it. I just can't. So I picked up on the giant stack of books to read, and this was an easier one. Ursula Le Guin's Wizard of Earthsea. Mm-hmm. And like generally, like I don't read fantasy novels. I mean, occasionally, like a big fan of Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archives, but generally speaking, like, you know, that's not a genre I engage with often. But Wizard of Earthsea is like it's a breath of fresh air compared to Tristram Shandy. It's like everything is really straightforward. The image, like it's concise in what it's saying, like in the prose, and the imagery and like kind of its fantasy world is using fantasy tropes, but it's subverting them enough to feel like original and fresh.
Mm-hmm. How old is it? Is it new?
Oh, Wizard of Earthsea, I think it's from the 70s, 80s.
Wow, and it still feels fresh, huh?
Well, no, it's like it's not it's not like so much why I think I like have or maybe this is unearned, but like generally when I engage it with fantasy, like a lot of it seems like reheated Tolkien. Like, you know, it's like, and I was never the biggest fan of Tolkien to begin with, and just like reusing a bunch of Tolkien tropes, like it just never impressed me. Tropes just never impressed me. But Earthsea is it's very good. I like it a lot so far.
Is that Ghibli movie that wasn't directed by Hayao Miyazaki but by his son based on that?
Garo Miyazaki. It's based on the entire giant book series.
Oh, okay.
And Wizard of Earthsea is the first, and I'm reading that right now. I had read Ursula Le Guin before, but the science fiction novel Left Hand of Darkness, which I also thought was very, very clever and cool.
Nice.
So would recommend. I'm most of the way through it now.
Well, if I read books, I would read it.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. Like it's very like friendly reading.
Have you been listening to anything?
Just a shitload of podcasts, like I always do.
Mm-hmm. What about Carriage Play?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's this show that I found on YouTube called Carriage Play. And I think it's actually pretty cool.
The blonde-haired guy is really annoying, though.
Yeah, probably.
The bald guy? Man, how cool. How cool is that, man?
They made a really cool voice tutorial video that I thought was really funny and clever. But it was out of focus, so.
I didn't get it.
And then, Joe, have you been watching any TV shows?
Just more Jeopardy.
Jeopardy!
Kristen and I are getting into the Tournament of Champions, or whatever that's called. They're kind of doing a little mini series thing where past Jeopardy champions team up to do Jeopardy together, and they're kind of changing the rules, and it's kind of weird, but it's fun to see all these like Jeopardy champion personalities back.
So are they Jeopardese? Jeopardese?
And we've been watching Love It or List It because we love
which
the house the show where they like update houses. Like we're a big fan of like
Property Brothers
and
Property Brothers.
I'm completely blanking on. There's a whole host of shows that we watch.
Oh, like the one that's hosted by the two brothers.
God damn it.
Property Brothers.
It's we watch all of the house shows.
Would you watch a house show?
House Hunters. House Hunters, especially House Hunters renovation.
Would you watch an HGTV show that was hosted by Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb, where they go and review houses?
Jesus, no.
This house gets a 3 out of 5.
Oh man, yeah. I'm sorry we're gonna lose Adam Sessler here as a follower,
As a subscriber.
or as a subscriber.
Well, I thought that guy who was on Carriage Way was Adam Sessler from his little head portrait.
Like, I don't mind the way he looks as like some like weird blonde troll. Like I'm not too far away myself. He's just like an annoying asshole. And like Morgan Webb is an annoying asshole. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I like him.
We just lost two subscribers.
I like them. I like them.
I don't know. At first I did years ago when I was a teenager. I was like, oh, these guys are kind of funny. And as I grow up, it's like, oh man, I can't stand these people.
But Joe,
they're such assholes.
Joe, I need to cut this out because I didn't tell you this, but I was emailing with Adam Sessler and he offered to be a guest on the Carriage Way podcast.
Oh my. Who's there?
It's me, Adam. I give this podcast a 3
out of 5. Okay.
Okay, but to be fair with Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb, like, yeah, sometimes they're going to come across as unlikable because those guys made a lot of stuff. Like, they had a weekly or a daily show where it's like they had to just be cranking stuff out, and like not everything's gonna be A tier, and sometimes they're gonna be cranky or tired or like overly rude or.
And that's fair, and like I don't actually personally have anything against them. I just like it's one of those things where you're become too exposed to it, like a song that you like and you listen to it too often, and you're like, oh man, can't stand that song. Fucking Smooth by Rob Thomas and Santana. Just cannot listen to. Although, like, the first 10,000 times I listened to it, I loved it. And now it's garbage. So it's probably something similar.
No, garbage is Push It. Push it. Push it real good. No, that's a different Push It.
That's a different, yeah.
That's Sound Peeper. I've been watching, I finished Lodge 49, which nice. I mentioned in the last one. That show changed me. Go watch it.
Yeah, you're a foot shorter. That's quite a change.
That show really did change my perspective of life and reality.
Cool. Awesome.
We're not living in the true reality, everybody. I've also been watching Letterkenny, which is on Hulu. And there's like 7 seasons, but I've been watching that with Dad. And it's the best way I could probably describe it to somebody is it's kind of like Workaholics vibes, if you've seen that. Mm-hmm. Workaholics.
Yes.
But it's in about a rural town in Canada.
Where people are Southern?
No.
Didn't you say like a faction in the town had a Southern twang?
No.
Oh.
They have kind of a rural accent, kind of like just that farmer talk.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like, like our grandparents, like are ranchers out in sort of central eastern Montana. North central Montana.
They're close to the Canadian border.
And it's kind of like they just, have like a way of talking, where it's like, what's a guy to do? Kind of almost like that slightly Midwest, slightly Canadian, slightly, kind of like.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
And yeah, so it's kind of like rural Workaholics, but it's really funny and I really like it. And like, it's totally my sense of humor because there's a lot of, so like something that like I've always like humor that I found very funny is like almost ritualistic. It's like every time a song comes on the radio every time like this, like a particular song comes on the radio, like say it's Smooth, having like a line of like, almost like an inside joke of like, oh, I guess it's this again. Or, like every time the police come on the radio, it's like, someone call 911. And it's like every time and it becomes this ritual.
Okay.
And it's not that the joke is necessarily funny, but it's just because it keeps happening over and over. I just like it. It feels comfortable. Like Letterkenny has a lot of stuff like that, where it's like, there's like there's Squirrely Dan, who's always like adds like S to the end of like a bunch of different words. So he's like, that's what I appreciates about you, Katie. And then Katie will always respond, oh, is that what you appreciate about me? But not as like a correct thing. It's just like I said, anyway, just like a lot of stuff like that where it's like it just keeps coming up.
Okay.
Figure it out. There's a lot of like say figure it out a lot.
It sounds pretty highbrow.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also pretty silly.
Okay, you can do both.
But yeah, I really, 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 really like Letterkenny.
Cool.
All right, Joe. It's time for bets.
Okay, yeah.
And not the Easy Ally style bets.
Time to pay the piper.
It's time for Metacritic bets.
Yeah, from last month, I got hosed, so...
Hey, wait, no, that's spoilers.
Okay.
Joe.
No.
We talked about this beforehand.
I got hosed so good.
Hose me real good.
Something either very good or very bad happened to me based on these bets.
Joe basically got a golden shower of hosing. All right, so we bet on the Metacritic score of Resident Evil 2. And by the way, these are PS4 Metacritics, when applicable.
Yeah, for video games, if that wasn't clear. There's Metacritic scores for movies and other things.
Okay. We bet on the Metacritic score of Resident Evil 2. Joe bet 94. Jacob bet 91. The real Metacritic score of Resident Evil 2 is
91.
So who is closer, Joe?
It's kind of in the middle there. I
was exactly right.
Okay, now just as a fun thing to add to that, do you think that's having played Resident Evil 2 or the what you have played?
I've played 15 minutes of Resident Evil 2.
I mean, I think that 91 is low for the game that...
Oh, really? I think it's spot on. Just like my bet.
True. I think the Metacritic score is low. I think it's that making Resident Evil 2 Remake an underrated game. Okay,
you
ready?
can think whatever you want.
Okay.
We bet on the Metacritic score of Kingdom Hearts 3.
I bet 79.
And Jacob bet 88.
The real meta score is 84.
So I was closer.
Slightly.
But it was pretty close on that one. We bet on the Metacritic score of Crackdown 3. Joe bet
75.
And Jacob bet
66.
And the correct Metacritic score is 60.
Yeah, I went too high on that.
Way too high.
I sort of thought it would get a cushion from just it being such an anticipated thing. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes even if something isn't very good, it's
just good wholesome fun though. It's like old school wholesome.
I was sort of counting on that kind of message, but no, it's like people tore apart.
Okay, we bet on the Metacritic score of Far Cry New Dawn.
Second game to take place in Montana.
And Joe bet...
75?
No.
Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. 81.
Joe bet 81 and Jacob bet 71. Correct Metacritic score?
72.
Yeah, who was really close to that
I
one
don't
also?
know. It's kind of in the... Okay.
All right, so
Jacob again.
So I'm 4 for 4 at this point.
Yeah. Jacob is beating me with a hose.
2 left, everybody.
Okay.
Metro Exodus.
Joe bet 84 or 85.
And Jacob bet 89. The correct meta score 79. Joe got that one.
Yeah, that's surprisingly low.
I feel like that's really low, man.
Doesn't that, because I mean the thing is like the how people talk about that online is that people like that game a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, but I guess not enough reviewers did.
All right, and Anthem.
A new game by BioWare. A studio that we followed for a very long time.
Yeah, famous for Mass Effect, Knights of the Old Republic,
Dragon Age.
So their next game has to be reviewed, right? Right? So Joe, you bet 78.
Yeah, and Jacob bet 87.
And the correct meta score for Anthem?
61.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I am so glad they tore it to fucking shreds. And the thing is, we talked about it last time, why I thought, it's like, you said, when I said 78, you're like, ooh, really? And it's like, yeah, the worm is turned on games as a service, like games that keep charging you to play them. It's like, the world is past this, and I like, this isn't getting a B. And I didn't know it was going to get a low D.
I didn't think there was like a way that like a game like that, BioWare's next game, that's been in development for years, has been an E3, like EA's like E3 game for years.
And like, a part of the giant Microsoft showcase for years, like a centerpiece of their marketing for Xbox has been Anthem. I thought just alone on the marketing and like how much like money they're pumping into, like EA has been known to pump into like reviewers to like kind of twist their arm a little, with your financial incentives.
Well, I mean, I think too, like I think it'll still sell really well. Like I think it'll be the best-selling game of February. Oh no, I'm sorry. Did it come out in February?
Yes. Wait. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just got panicked for a second because I saw Resident Evil 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3 on my list here, and I was like, wait, those were on last month's NPD. But,
well, it's late.
Yeah. I think Anthem will be at number 1 on the NPD.
It's a fair guess.
So Joe got that one, but, he can't feel too good about it because he was still 17 points off, but not to devalue your win.
Yeah, so 2 to 4.
Yep.
Against Joe.
So I won that. So Joe had to post.
I have to post on our Twitter a drawing I do of myself as a
nobody,
a silly Kingdom Hearts creature.
Well, creature, but also Joe's. I think you're going to take it in the direction of like an Organization 13 member because those are all nobodies.
Right. I mean, but like the nobodies is that they have the faces of like people, but they're supposed to be the same sort of entity as those like little fucking zipper creatures. I don't know.
So Joe will post that soon.
Yeah. And it'll probably go up with the podcast.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Check it out. Check us out on Twitter. We're at Carriage_Way. It's in the description below. You can check it out.
Check it out.
All right, these are for the next month.
Okay, right. And real quick, what are the stakes?
Okay, so for this next month, the loser has to write a haiku about Sekiro and post it to the Carriage Way Twitter.
Sekiro, the new ninja-themed From Software game coming out in March.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so the first game we're betting on the Metascore, and by the way, still PS4 Metascore win applicable. Dead or Alive 6, coming out March 1st.
I'm going to say 75.
67.
Whew. Wow, we both went real low. Fighting game franchise. Used to be beloved. Okay, the next game is Left Alive by Square Enix. Kind of a Metal Gear Solid 5 themed game
but also
in the Front Mission
with,
universe. Yeah. Okay, so it comes out March 5th.
And I'll bet the Metascore on this one first, just to make it fair.
Okay.
Left Alive will get a 67.
Okay, I'm going to go 80.
Okay. Devil May Cry 5. This is an anticipated game by a lot of people, by Capcom. Director Itsuno, who directed Dragon's Dogma. But Joe and I, by the way, aren't super interested in Devil May Cry 5.
We probably talked about it on the channel.
Devil May Cry 5 comes out March 8th.
92. I'm not saying I would give it 92.
88.
Okay. The next game is The Division 2.
Wait, is this Tom Clancy's Poop on Your Toothbrush?
It is Poop on Your Toothbrush. The Division 2, it's another one of those shitty games as a service games where you just pay to play it constantly, and it's always like, fleecing you for money. Okay, so The Division 2 comes out March 15th.
I'm going to say that The Division 2 gets a 75.
I'm going to say 79.
Okay. I wanted to say 80, but...
Yeah, it's going to be in that milieu. I think it's going to it's going to compare favorably to Anthem, which was unfinished. I have the impression that The Division 2, just by virtue of being a finished game, will get a bump.
Yeah.
Just from
And you'll be a statement against EA, screw you EA, see The Division got reviewed well.
Yeah.
All right.
The next game is our boy Sekiro, coming out March 22nd.
Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Yes. By our good friend, friend of the channel, really.
Yeah. Family friend.
Is Miyazaki.
Yep.
Hidetaka Miyazaki.
Not Hayao Miyazaki.
Yeah, he doesn't like us.
So Joe, are you betting first on this one?
I said it, so you bet.
I feel like I bet first on The Division 2, baby.
Did you?
I said 75.
Did we? Okay.
We got screwed up, Joe.
We got screwed up.
It doesn't matter because this is our last game anyway that we're betting on.
Sekiro. Shoot. Okay. The thing is people love From Software games, but they never review as high as you think they would. Dark Souls has a Metacritic score of 88. Demon Soul, or Bloodborne, which has the highest Metacritic of any From Software, has 91.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Sekiro is going over Bloodborne. I'm going to say 89. Even if it's the best game ever, I don't think it's going to go into the 90s.
That's a good bet. But I think it is going to go into the 90s.
Okay.
93.
Whoa. Dude.
All right, everybody. That's been Bets.
I'm feeling uncomfortable. I don't have a whole lot of because seeing reviews change, the Metascores they fluctuate sometimes depending on review criteria changing over time, and I have the distinct impression I'm going to be writing that fucking haiku.
Well,
is this going to be a recurring thing every month?
That Joe just loses every month.
That I just lose every month?
Maybe. I hope so.
You just got your little grubby fingers on the pulse of the video game review outlets.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for listening to the Carriage Way podcast on this lovely month of February in the year 2019.
Thank you very much for listening.
In a galaxy far, far away.
On the bottom of the lake.
That has been us, Jacob.
And Joe. Bye.